Hey everyone, this is Mike from Healthy Harvest Farms here with a nice little chicken coop update. Sorry if I'm a little out of breath. I've been working outside all day today. It's about 92 degrees. But anyways, so as you could tell from our other chicken coop video, I explained that we were on a very tight budget. We'd like to get bees later this year, so my wife set aside a specific amount of money so that way we can finish the coop and also afford the bee supplies and also the bees. So because we spent more money than we were planning on with this sun-cast shed, which is, it's okay, it's going to last a long time, it's very big, and it was a lot easier to build than, you know, chucking a lot of the wood out here and a power cord. Like I said, we were at the very end of a very long acre, so it just worked out well that way. But anyways, so I kind of went on scrounge mode. So what I did was I had an old stand that I used to work on a Fresnel lens. And if you don't know what a Fresnel lens is, just go ahead and look it up on YouTube. There's a few folks who do some really nice videos on them. But essentially it's the lens that is put on those big old school projection flat screen TVs. And if you mount it on a pivot, you can essentially start a fire, cook, or anything like that. Well, I was tired of the stand sitting around, so I went ahead and I repurposed it, and I moved one of the mounts. I moved the mount from the center, so it wasn't a pivot, and just made a nice little right angle. And I didn't want to buy any pipe, and I had a bunch of 3/4 inch PVC laying around. But the problem is the 3/4 inch PVC is not going to be strong enough to hold the chickens. So then what I did is I went and grabbed a bunch of my old EMT conduit that we had left over, and I threw that right in there, which I'm going to go ahead and completely seal this off, either with duct tape or a little bit of foam, or maybe some corks that I have sitting around. And I just took some nice EMT conduit 3/4 inch brackets, and these are very, very strong. They barely are bending. I actually stood on one of these before I recorded, and it didn't give away. And I weigh 252 pounds, or 253. So, but anyways, this is the roosting rack. There are a total of 5 racks or poles. The main support itself is about 3 feet wide, and the poles are just a little bit longer. We have 19 chickens coming, so hopefully that'll be enough room for all of them. Currently we have 4 chickens. Well, we had 4 chickens, and they used to just sit on the roosting rack all together, all on the same roosting rack at the top. And that's just a little bit shorter, or this is actually a little bit longer than the roosting rack that we had before. So this is the roosting rack. It cost $0. Okay, you are looking at the beginnings of the automatic guillotine door for the chicken coop, because it's all the way, like I said again, it's all the way at the very back of the yard. I'm not waking my butt up at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning and walking all the way out here and letting them out, especially in the wintertime. So we were looking at automatic chicken coop doors. The problem is those darn things are right around 200 bucks, and some of the construction kind of looks a little shoddy. So I'm not going to pay $200 for something that I can already build that already looks shoddy. So essentially what I just did was I just took some aluminum sheets right there and just built a simple frame, and took my table saw and ripped some spaces out through here, and it actually works extremely well. Let me just kind of get it going here. Sorry, it's kind of hard to do this and videotape at the same time, but it works very, very, very well. So the plan is if you do a search on YouTube for chicken coop doors or chicken coop door motor, you'll actually find that a lot of folks are not even using the motors. What they're using a actual motor that's made for Venetian blinds. so that way you can put them on a timer. The blinds can open in the beginning of the day and close at certain times and open back up and so forth, so on and so forth. So I'll have a counterweight. I still have to measure that door, and I'll have to hook a counterweight and a stronger string than that. I'll probably put some 550 paracord on there, so that way I know it definitely holds up over time if any of the chickens are messing with it. And that will hopefully do just fine. Here we have the nesting box table. Once again, didn't cost me a penny. What you see on the front of there, the roosting bar is actually an old clothes bar that's from a closet. I went ahead and I cut that down. And the table that you see underneath there, it's kind of funny because when we moved into our house a few years ago, they had an old concrete sink. And that concrete sink started leaking, and I just said, heck with it. I don't want to try to fix that. I'd rather just replace it and put something that's a little bit easier to manage than that 200-pound sink. So that table, or that stand actually down there, was holding up a 200-pound sink. So I took it outside in the garden. I originally put it, made it as a stand for my compost tea, which worked out okay. And then my wife wanted the garden extended, and when we extended the garden, in order to keep this in the same spot, it was a little difficult for me to cut around it with my tractor without ticking off my neighbor. So I went ahead and repurposed it. And once again, there's a piece of aluminum at the top. I drilled holes through the stand right here, and then put screws up through the 2x4s, and then screwed the roosting rack on top of there. And in the spirit of not spending any money, my wife has some milk cartons at home, or not milk cartons, but the milk carton crates back at the house that she grew up in, and she has 4 of them, and that table will actually be just big enough to fit all 4 of them on there. So once we get them, I'll just go ahead and screw them into the metal and the wood, and they'll be plenty strong. Alright everyone, this is all the equipment in there. The nesting box table, the door. I know that door looks like it's slanted, but it's actually not. It's square. It's just how I have the not the wood, but the frame in there sitting, and the door. And I actually realized that I cut the notches a little bit too far into the center of the board. I need to move them a little bit closer, so that way they're closer to the wall so nothing gets in. And here are the roosting bars. So just to give you an idea, with all that in there, there still is plenty of room for the chickens to mosey around. We will be putting a water container in there, probably a 4-gallon water container. And up here, up at these 2 bars right here, that'll be perfect for hanging their food. We have 1 container so far, or 1 food container, so we'll get another one soon. We've tried the automatic feeders and things like that, but I'd just much rather just come in here, check the chickens out, see how they're doing. And the food lasts about 2-3 days, so they'll be okay. And then up here, I'm going to end up installing a vent right towards the gable. Put a 12-volt fan on the inside. That way we can help get some nice air circulation. But you'll see all that in future videos. And once I get electrical ran out here, you'll see that, because I'm going to use my Dremel to cut the circle. Okay, well, I hope you enjoy this video, and come back next time to see some more, and please click the like button on the bottom of the video. Thanks for watching.